Now, how would you feel if you were a real estate investor who purchased an investment property just to have it taken over by squatters who refuse to leave? Meanwhile, the city is continuously fining you for not keeping up the property while the squatters are living there. Yeah, I know, it sounds wild, but this is exactly what happened to two landlords a little while back, and we're about to get into this story. But first, I'm Tim Leake. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about real estate investing, entrepreneurship, and finance. And like I said, I got a crazy story for you guys today dealing with squatters and squatters' rights. And it's important for landlords to know the local laws of the area you're investing in as it pertains to squatters' rights, because in some states, squatters are treated just as equal as paying tenants. And the last thing you want to deal with is a squatter that knows the law and refuses to leave. It could be a nightmare, just like it was for the landlords in this story. Now let's get into it. So real estate investors Mohammed Chowdhury and Boyson Lorik purchased a fixer-upper multifamily property in Brooklyn, New York in late 2019 for $1.3 million. And they were ready to fix this place up, lease the units out to tenants, and start collecting rent. But unfortunately, the pandemic happened soon after they purchased it, so they were unable to. And what makes matters worse is the country pretty much shut down and they were stuck out of town for months. So by the time they were actually able to get to the property, they found that a man was living in the garage and he had illegally rented out units in the building to other squatters. So altogether, it was like 10 squatters staying on their property and they refused to leave. In fact, the owners were threatened and physically abused by the squatters when they approached them. So the owners did what anyone would do in that situation: call the police. But to their surprise, the NYPD refused to remove any of the squatters and told the owners to handle it in civil court. You see, here's the thing. The squatters told police that they've been living there for over 30 days. And in New York, that makes them legal tenants. So they're no longer trespassers, which is a criminal case. After 30 days, squatting is a civil case. And you have to go through the entire eviction process to get them out, which in New York can be a long and drawn out process. And meanwhile, these two owners were constantly getting hit with fines left and right from the Department of Building Agents because of the condition of the property. The property was deteriorating, and of course the squatters don't care. That's the owner's responsibility. But the owners were unable to make any repairs because the squatters prevented them from doing so. But guess what? The city kept fining them, even though the property was occupied with squatters. So the owners had no choice but to go through with the eviction process, which means they had to notify the squatters to leave the property, which had to be in writing. If they refused, which they did, the owners had to serve them a 30-day notice of termination. So now the squatters have an additional 30 days to leave. And if they still don't leave, which they didn't, the owners now can file a summary eviction proceeding or a formal eviction proceeding in the county where the property is located. So that takes additional time, and the squatters are still able to fight the eviction proceeding to prolong the process. So a landlord has to show that they follow New York City and state eviction laws precisely to win the eviction case and to avoid having it dismissed on the technicality and having to start the entire process all over again. So the owners eventually won the eviction case, and the judge ruled that the squatters had to be out within 30 days, which gives them even more time. This is ridiculous. So the NYPD and the city marshal finally went to evict the squatters, which they did, and got like 10 of them out of there. But get this, while the squatters were getting evicted, the Department of Building hit the owners with an additional $5,000 fine because one of the squatters illegally converted the garage into a bedroom. Like, are you serious? It's like they're beating a dead horse at this point. Before it was all said and done, the owners got hit with over $400,000 in fines. The Department of Building spokesman said property owners are required to keep their properties in safe and code compliant condition at all times. So even though they were unable to work on the property, they were still getting fined, which seems really unfair. And they owed another $100,000 for taxes and utilities. So that totals over $500,000. I feel sorry for them. Sounds like a nightmare situation to be in. But the owners did eventually sue the city to keep from having to pay all of those fines. But I haven't seen any update on the case. Good luck to them. Well, as you can see, some states have very favorable rights for squatters. In New York City, they're protected by local and state laws, and in many aspects, they're treated similar to paying tenants. I feel like squatters' rights are meant to be a good thing when it comes to protecting tenants from shiesty landlords who are trying to punish them, but it can be a bad thing when squatters take advantage of the law and punish the landlords. I guess any law can be a bad thing if it gets exploited to punish someone else, so I do encourage all landlords, get familiar with your local and state laws as it pertains to squatters' rights. You might get some information that make you not want to even invest in certain places, because you don't want to end up like these two guys. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, can't wait to see you guys in the next video.